Really glad that we are holding this hearing on the state of education, because I am seeing the state of education in shambles under this Department of Education, where the president vowed to dismantle the Department of Education. He said immediately to work to tear apart programs that support our students in schools, no regard to the law or the consequences, or even what's best for our students. So I see the state of education as delayed and frozen, canceling funding, robbing our schools of support for our teachers and our supports and services kids need to succeed. We are seeing fired workers, and those are the people who got grants out the doors and protected civil rights and elevated student success through evidence-based research and a lot more. We are seeing the state of education where Trump is moving technical and adult education out of the department and eliminating education research for student success. So in the midst of all of this chaos that we are seeing at the Department of Education, I am really concerned about the latest results of the National Report Card, which came out this month, because it does show that while Trump is pushing ahead with tearing apart the Department of Education and ripping resources away from our students, our kids are continuing to fall behind. Reading, math, science scores are falling. Achievement gap between students is getting wider. And, Mr. Chairman, I fought really hard on this committee to pass the Bipartisan Student Succeeds Act so we could provide guardrails and flexibility to our local school districts in balance. Guardrails and flexibility. But now we are seeing this law twisted into pretzels with broad, and in the case of waivers, broad waivers on the funding requirements, illegal waivers that are going to let states off the hook if they fail to educate our students, and are really in blatant disregard of our intent when I worked with Lamar Alexander and others to pass that really critical piece of work. So I am worried that instead of working with us to fix the education system, Trump and the Secretary of Education are making it a lot worse. So the question we need to ask is simple. What is going to help our students? What is going to keep them focused? What is going to keep them engaged? How are we going to help them keep growing and surviving and reversing these trends of the NAEP scores? And I think the answer is the opposite of what we have been seeing. So, Dr. Murray, let me start with you. You've seen firsthand how consistent support, consistent strategic investments help turn around a struggling district and put students on a path to success. When Senator Lamar Alexander and I wrote the Every Student Succeeds Act, we actually did a few things. We cleaned up that waiver mess the Obama administration had created. We got rid of some of the onerous parts of the No Child Left Behind to provide more flexibility to our states and to our districts. But third, and really importantly, we included core accountability and school improvement requirements for states and school districts, including requirements to focus resources on our nation's lowest performing students. Now, these waivers that President Trump is giving out are really unraveling that law and leaving those lowest performing students in the dust. So, Dr. Murray, can you speak to the importance of the federal focus on our nation's lowest performing students and how it helps superintendents like you to focus on our students who need the most support?
Thank you, Senator Murray. Pressure and support. One of the philosophical beliefs that we have locally, whether it's the classroom, the school level, or the system level, or even the state level, is that balance of pressure. Teachers, principals, we all need to feel that, the pressure to perform, the pressure to ensure that our students have the right type of environment on which to learn, but it must be balanced with support. And sometimes that support comes through policy, through regulation, through financial contributions, through a variety of other ways. But that balance is what we need locally. At the end of the day, the decisions that are made in rooms such as this affect every child in every classroom in America. And specifically in Odessa, Texas, I see the decisions that are made in this city affecting our students in positive ways and negative ways. And that has happened over time. But that balance of pressure and support is critical.
Which is what we put into No Child Left Behind. So,
when Senator Patty Murray said the state of American education is in shambles, she wasn't exaggerating. She was describing a system slowly dismantled by politics, budgets frozen, research stripped away, and students left behind. What she revealed in that hearing wasn't just red tape or bureaucratic neglect. It was a warning, a look at how entire generations can be failed by choices made at the top. What Murray did in that hearing was more than deliver a speech. It was a clear, fact-based look at what happens when education policy stops being about helping kids and becomes a political game. She listed the facts: programs defunded, workers fired, and research departments gutted, all while officials claimed they were increasing flexibility. But as Murray pointed out, flexibility without responsibility becomes abandonment. At its heart, education policy should answer a simple question: how do we help every child learn? The Every Student Succeeds Act, ESSA, which Murray helped write, was designed to strike a balance. It allowed states to innovate while keeping federal safeguards in place so that children with the least access to opportunity weren't ignored. The principle was simple: pressure without support becomes punishment. Support without pressure becomes neglect. ESSA aimed for both: accountability and resources focused on the students who needed them most. But what Murray described in this hearing is the quiet undoing of those protections. When federal waivers are handed out too freely, especially beyond what the law allows, the consequences are clear. States that underperform face less oversight. Federal requirements meant to direct funds to struggling schools are weakened or ignored, and when oversight fades, the result is predictable: fewer rules, less accountability. Local systems begin to deprioritize their most vulnerable students. Achievement gaps grow wider. This isn't abstract policy. It's the reality inside classrooms. Teachers and principals still face pressure to raise scores, but when the federal and state supports that help them do it are cut, that pressure becomes impossible.